Hello everyone, Behan here. So as you might have seen, I made a community post asking which topic I should cover next. And although it was pretty close, VFX ended up winning. So without further ado, let's get started. Firstly, in order to do VFX in Animator, you need to first establish a few render setting options. Although this step isn't as important, I do recommend you run settings similar to the ones shown on screen. The reason these settings are recommended is because it makes shapes more distinguishable, which is very important when it comes to doing VFX, at least for me. If you aren't comfortable with these settings, that is also fine, but I can't guarantee the same results. Now that we've established our render settings, it is time to actually start doing the VFX. Now, one might think it's just importing a whole bunch of random textures and hoping for the best, and although that is true to some extent, it is more complicated than that. But first, I will need to describe to you guys how render depth works. It is extremely important that you learn how to utilize render depth to avoid any sort of alpha glitches. Render depth is basically a way of establishing how textures are displayed. You could think of render depth as the many layers one might use in an art program. A higher render depth means a higher layer, meaning it will be visible over other layers. That being said, one rule of thumb is the following. Each texture in VFX should never have the same render depth as another. It should always be either a higher or lower number. I personally find it easiest to set the render depth immediately after you import the texture, so this way you don't have to worry about it ever again. Alright, so now you have the render settings and you understand render depth. It's time to actually begin animating the layout for your VFX. Now, although this is personal preference, I do find it easiest to animate the camera before doing any VFX. This is because doing VFX while also doing the camera simultaneously can make tracking the VFX extremely difficult. Here, look at the VFX test I made based on Demon Slayer movie. This animation would be a nightmare to track if I animated both the VFX and the camera at the same time. Now here is the animation before VFX. You can see that I animated the camera completely before even touching anything else. This also may feel strange at first, but it will save you tons of time if you learn to do it correctly. So now that you understand all of the basic components, it is time to gather the textures needed to do whatever you are trying to do. This is where it can get tricky because the wrong texture can screw VFX completely if you aren't careful. Usually what I do is go to Google and search for whatever texture I need and add .png at the end of it. So say, for example, I need a fire texture. I'll search firepower effects.png, which brings up many PNGs you could use to make your own VFX. Once you've gathered enough of them, you will need to import all the textures into Animator. So here we are in the Animator project. I've already gone ahead and animated something very basic along with the camera work as explained earlier. So now all that's left to do is the actual VFX. So I've already imported some textures. So what I'd like to do first is if there's going to be any impact frames, which is another form of VFX, I do that first. So right here, I want at the beginning of the camera shake, I want Steve to just like power up, right, with aura or something. So first things first, the thing I use a lot for VFX is color correction. That helps a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down so it becomes dark, because impact frames I like to do dark or very bright impact frames. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the render depth as we discussed earlier by at least 1, just as long as it's not 0. And then I'm going to move this just in front of the camera. And then I'm going to raise his brightness, and then, adjustments, scale it down. And then we have like this look, and then we're going to make it glow. And then actually what we can do is come over here, brightness can come up, contrast can go down. So it'll be something like this, for example. And we'll put this right here to cover the entire camera. And we'll do something like this. Yeah, like this is fine. For the sake of the tutorial, we'll just do this. And now you can also add blend modes if you want. So I can add blend mode just to make it a bit more brighter. We'll make the lightning blue. We'll put it like right here. And I'll turn on blur texture as well, because I like having it blurred. And now what I'm going to do is I just made this instant so the impact frame will be instant. So we're going to make this instant and we're going to make that instant. Meaning they'll do this. And yeah. So now we have this, for example. That's the beginning of it. Now what we're going to have to do is, actually I'm going to do this with Steve. I set up a folder where you can change the color of Steve. This is just for me being organized. You don't necessarily have to do this. And then we'll make it, I don't know, blue as well. So now you have this. And now that's the beginning of it. Now we want the actual, like maybe like lightning around him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another texture here. And I actually got this texture, I believe. We can try this. And it's all experimental as well. So it all comes down to, you know, what you're doing, what you want to do. So now I'm just experimenting. I'm going to raise the render depth. I'm going to raise the brightness. And I'm going to make it glow. I'm going to make the glow a bit more blue. And I'm going to turn off cast shadows. Now, what I'm going to do is like after the impact frame, I want to have like electricity like surge out from him. So we'll do something like this, for example. Also, we should adjust the rotation point. Just so when you scale it, it goes in one direction. So I'm going to do this, for example. We'll scale it out, for example. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a folder for this lightning. So what I like to do with lightnings, I like to make it flicker. So I'll create a folder and I'll make this folder just flicker like this. So like I don't have to worry about doing it on the main timeline. So now it's like this, for example. See what I mean? And now you can just like you do that, and then you can just make it go invisible. And now, by itself, it looks kind of you know? But when you combine a whole bunch of other textures, it can start to look better. I made it affected by wind. I can even like increase the wind, because I already have a background thing. I can just increase it, just so it also has more variation, basically. That's pretty much the point of this. I'll probably have it do this, and then like that. In, out, in, and then yeah, you can even like, I'll scale out the folder as well, just to make it. There we go. So now that's one lightning bolt. You can actually just, for the sake of this tutorial, I'll just, you know, do the exact same thing on the other side. So I just copy paste it, put it over, increase the render depth by 1 at least, or above the other one. See, this lightning texture is going in front of the other one, meaning that it's going to have a higher render depth. So I'll just make it 6, or literally anything higher than what this one has, which is, you know, 6 as well. So in this case, we can do 7, or this works, yeah. So now it's higher. Now we have this, which is just another step towards getting it even better. Now we have the outskirts. I may also try to add, see what I imported. We can also add maybe, oh yeah, this one. We can add this for sparks. So we're gonna get another one. I'm gonna make it hidden. Same thing as before, increase the render depth. I'm gonna put this in front of the two lightning textures, meaning it has to be higher than the previous ones. I'm gonna set the rotation point to 0 just for scaling convenience. Cast shadows off, glow on, and then I just make it, I don't know, glow a bit more blue. And then I can turn the blend mode to add. Now, what I'm gonna do for this is I'm gonna attempt to make like some spark go flying out when he does the thing. So I'm gonna make it go like that. I'm gonna blur the texture, and I'll probably just alpha it down, honestly. So I'll just do like, now there's just an extra view. You can even like, I can make it affected by wind as well. You make it only render glow. I'm gonna keep it on just for the sake of this. But actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it go out like that. So we'll see, do that, and then we'll actually scale it like that. Scale it out, and then we'll just alpha it down. And we'll do the same thing on the other side as well. Remember, it's gonna go in front of it. I'm gonna increase the render depth. So I'm gonna put it here, and I'm going to animate it going out like that. Now you have this, another step. You can even make Steve himself start glowing blue. So we'll just make him glow a bit blue. And then you can just like make him flicker it. So I'll just do this. Yeah. Now he's just flickering it. Now we can just, now it's literally just keep going until you're satisfied. So let's see what else did I import. I imported this. I wonder if I can use this for anything. And it's just being experimental, like seeing what you can do with certain textures and stuff. So maybe I can use this one, or let's see, if I rotated it this way and I increased it like this, I need to make it glow, of course. I'll make this one only render glow. And just because I like the look of it, not for any specific reason. And then I'll just, I don't know, make it rise straight up, maybe. So let me hide it here. So now we're just gonna make it go straight up. So upwards, and then we'll move it down like that. So now it's something like this. And we can even scale it down a little bit here just for more emphasis when it does go up. So it's like that. And then you can, like, I don't know, scale it out, for example, and make it go up a bit more. And then you can just make it alpha out, I guess. Right, and then you can also, what I also like to do is make sure it stays centered. So there we go, that's better. And then I'll make it go up a little bit like that, I guess. Stays centered. Yeah, we can even use that. Like then it has more, yeah, like that. And then we can just make it go out. So now it looks like that. And what you can even do is duplicate this thing, move it out, because I'm gonna move it out, increase the render depth as usual, and I'm gonna actually just layer it on top of it so it just looks a bit more dynamic. So I'm gonna do this, and then I just need to track it again because it's not gonna be tracked. So we'll do this. I think that's tracked now. Yeah, okay, it is. And now, boom. See, now it's a bit more tracked, and now you have more depth to it. Not to mention, you could also integrate bloom, which I haven't done yet, but you can. So if you integrate bloom, you can just, like, you know, just go crazy with bloom, honestly. I'd make it blue just so, like, it stays consistent, and maybe lower this a bit, mess around with the anamorphic ratio, maybe like the blades would help, who knows, you know. So just do whatever you want, but for the sake of this, I'm just going to leave it at that. You can also since there's going to be landing on screen after the impact frame, I want to increase the contrast just a little bit and maybe add a little bit of blue color burn, just because I personally like that. I can desaturate it and add more color burn, for example. And then, like, I can just make it come back out like about right here, because that's when it resets. And then, you know, now you have that. You can just increase the contrast again. And now you can just literally keep going from there. I'm going to let's see, we can pull up. And also another thing I like to do is I like to just experiment. So let's try putting this on a sphere and see how this looks. So I'll turn on show back faces. That's because that's like how spheres are. And I can just increase, and I can just make it glow, for example. And I wonder, like, how this could look if I put it around him. It may not look good, I don't even know yet. But it's experimental, you know what I mean? That's like the point of this. Since it's going to be going behind them, I should lower it actually. Because, like, what we need is like an actual aura around him. And maybe this thing could do the trick. We can make it affected by wind, make it glow blue. And then we can go only render glow because I want it to be transparent. And then we can just, like, scale it out. You know, and then just, like, do that. And then we can potentially, like, rotate it. I don't know. Something like that. So let's see what we have. Also need to make it hidden here. You know, something like that. And you can just, like, lower the alpha. See, now you have, like, something. And you can even add, and this is where, like, more details start to come in and stuff. You could add a point light to, like, just basically light up the Steve, just to make it look more dramatic. You can, like, you know, blue. There you go. And now you can just, like, make it fade out, you know, when the thing's done. So it's like, I would do easing it out, I guess. Yeah, just so it's detailed, it's more detailed. You can even, if you want to go the extra mile, you can go with background as well. So when the lightning strikes, maybe the fog, I don't know, like, turns brighter, just to add more dramatic effect. So we'll make it go bright, and then we'll just make it go back down. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. You can make it do like an elastic so like it flickers. So now it's like something like that. So this is just an example. Obviously, you can go way more detailed, and I think you should. I advise everybody to go as detailed as possible. But this is pretty much the baseline for it. Using those skills, just keep adding on to what you think is good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this tutorial. If you guys have any more requests, let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.